What's going on, guys? My local Harbor Freight was doing a special, 87 bucks for the new Flux 125 welder. So I figure I already got the 90 amp, so we're going to do old versus new, shootout between the two of them, compare the similarities and differences, and we're going to see what's really going on with the new 125. Check it out. In the comment section of my other videos, you guys keep bringing up the Harbor Freight Flux 125, and before that I had never even heard of it. So after you guys kept bringing it up, I decided I wanted to see what it was all about. The first thing I noticed is that in appearance it's nearly identical to the 90 amp that I already had, and they actually even measure the same dimensions. And the harder that I looked, the more similarities that I found. The only actual noticeable difference is that the gun on the 125 is a 2-finger trigger instead of a 1-finger, and it seems to be more ergonomic than the 90 amp. Although the printed circuit boards inside of the units aren't the same, the components that go into them are nearly identical. And if you really stand back and look, there's almost no difference between these two units. While that's all really well and good, you never really know anything about a welder until you lay down some metal with it. Well, that doesn't look very good. Let's see what we can do about that. Well, that's looking a little bit better. I don't know about you guys. Those two welds are pretty similar. Yeah. So for a welder in this price range, neither of those are bad. I mean, I don't even really think that it's necessary to tell you which one is from which welder, because both of them are perfectly legitimate welds. I mean, especially if we're talking amateurs, because I mean that's what I am, and if you own one, the odds are you're going to be an amateur. I think I can do a little bit better than the bottom weld. So this top one is actually from the Harbor Freight 90 amp, and the bottom one is from the Flux 125. So what I think is happening is we're having inconsistencies with the feed, because it's probably just not broken in. But like I said, I think I can do a little bit better, so I'm going to flip this piece around and see what I can do. But obviously that bottom one is just flat out not cutting it. So I have noticed that this thing has a 2-finger trigger on it, and I was kind of wondering about that, but I think what the sputtering that I was experiencing was I wasn't depressing the trigger all the way. So on this next one I held it down with both fingers, and the feed is actually significantly better. You can tell right about there the feed cut out on me one time, and I was holding the trigger down really well. So it'll probably get better as the welder starts to break in a little bit more. But apples for apples, top weld is the 90 amp, the middle and bottom welder with the Harbor Freight Flux 125. They're pretty comparable, dude. I mean, I don't think they're really all that different. Now, are they different? Yeah, but how different are they exactly? So first, let's go after the obvious. I had both of the welders set to the same speed, to the same power. I was doing everything the same, and I was just hooking the ground clamp directly to the vise. That's pretty much how I always weld. And it was the same wire, like I was already telling you guys. I was using Forney 035 Flux Core. And pretty similar welds I was getting out of the two of these machines. So I know the question that you guys have right now, are these welders different? Well, the short answer is yes, they are different. The long answer, the biggest difference is right about here. The label or sticker, whatever you want to call it. That's the biggest difference that I see between these two welders. They're extremely comparable. Now, one thing that is actually different about these two welders is the 90 amp just had a little thread-on guy that's meant to hold the lid closed, which I lost a long time ago, so I don't have that. so it just opens up. This one, it has a little spring-loaded button, so you push on the button, and that's how it works. I actually dig that. That's pretty stinking cool. The rest of it, unfortunately, in my opinion, is the same. There's really no difference at all.
Now, I'm not an expert. I just happen to own both of these welders. I've owned the 90 amp since 2012. I've used the hell out of it. I just bought the 125. I wanted to see what the difference was. And like I said, in my amateur opinion, they're the same welder. But if you were to maybe slap a different label on there, yeah, they're definitely the same welder, in my expert opinion, because it's all about labels right now, because that's the only difference between these two welders. One of them says 90 amp, the other one says Flux 125. On the website, this is from harborfreight.com, the maximum amperage of the 90 amp is 120, and the maximum of the other is 125. Everything else across the board is the same. So what are you really getting for the extra money that it costs for the 125? A sticker. And I'm an expert today. Well, if I had my label on. I don't have my label on right now, so I guess you guys shouldn't really be listening to me. Anyway, if there's something that you guys want to see, a comparison between these two, just go ahead and let me know. I'll see what I can do about that for you. Feel free to give me feedback if you have any. And thanks for watching. Thanks always for doing your part to help make this world a strange place.